Yep, I'm live. Hey, official blasphemy, and hey, what's going on, Gary Schill? Nice to hear from you both. Nice to hear from you, Gary, in particular. Anyways, I was just going to give a couple minutes here. I don't know, live viewer 0. Maybe I'm talking to myself. Couple minutes here. Oh. Yeah, that's weird. 0? There's 2 people that have commented, yet it's showing 0. Huh. Oh, that's wild. All right. Well, usually not a big fan of talking to myself. So I'll give it a couple minutes here, but if I don't see anything updating or changing on the screen here, start to enjoy the live stream style. Start to enjoy the live stream style a bit. Yeah. Yeah, it's all right. I don't know. It can be. Depends on the audience, I guess. It says 3 on your screen. Steve the Cross. Huh, that's weird. Of course, you're probably looking at the YouTube side of things on my YouTube one. Okay, there on the YouTube side of it, it is saying 2 down there. Started streaming 70 seconds ago. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll just give it a couple more minutes. Or is everyone still around the watering hole? Actually, I should have. Actually, let me pull that up here. Yeah. What size is that one? I could share the screen possibly. I'm just trying to find something here, and I want to share it on the screen if I can get. I guess this one has a link to someone's website, probably. What about this one here? Let's try this one. Ah, never mind. Getting about a foot of snow next day or so. Yeah, it seems that way. About about a foot or so, roughly. It's been lots of snow this year. Just a sec. I'm trying to find out how to get this thing, because then I'd have to put it. All right, let's try it anyways. All right, let's see what we can do here. Yeah, that'll probably work. Oh, wait, no, I got an even better idea. I've got a better idea. I'll just put it right in. There we go. I'm just going to type it right into, because you can create banners on this thing. So just let me create the banner with it. There we go. Okay. Just one sec. Bear with me there, folks. Okay, let me just make sure I got that right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Add banner. Now click on it. I think this is one of the biggest problems. Didn't turn out. I was hoping it'd go 1, 2, and 3 right below each other, but I guess I can't edit it either. I think this is the biggest problem that we're having today, which is why I've kind of I do my thing, but I'll just go with people that have these things here, the great minds. I'd rather deal with the people, unfortunately, because I got caught up with a lot of the people that were supporters of politicians or status believers. It was a kind of detrimental. It was a little fun little ride while it lasted, but now I find myself having to reorient and shift back into my original way of doing things and being an actual libertarian, not even promoting the state in any way. But as you can see, everyone else wants to discuss. Well, most people today, and I get it, everyone likes their mindless entertainment. But what you're getting from all these other YouTubers in Canada is that last one. Well, once in a while, I guess they'll discuss events, right? But for the most part, you're getting them discussing people like, oh, this group is, oh, these people are the worst. Oh, this group of people, First Nations people, Aboriginals, or the Jews, or brown people, or I don't get into that knuckle dragging mentality shit. And if it means I have to go back to having only a few people following me and having much less of reach or growth on my channel as a result, I'll just have to accept it. But that's why I've chosen to go on over to Thinkspot. Thinkspot is ts.today. It's a great website, a place where you can actually go and discuss ideas, not just sit around. Like, to me, it's just today. Everyone just wants to constantly sit in that shock and awe moment. It's like it's on repeat. They just want to infantilize themselves and constantly get shocked and outraged about what's happening, but never ever discussing any ideas or what the hell you can do about it. Well, I'm going to help out in that regard. In this first part, I'm going to be talking about as far as the ideas. And I think it's a really simple thing. It's non-violent, completely peaceful. But once again, I know it'll never happen. Why? Because all these people that are claiming they're railing against the system, or they're railing against oppression, or they're railing against the environmentalists, or none of them are in a position apparently to do shit, to be honest with you. But really, what needs to be done, if you want an actual idea as to how you deal with these ultra environmentalists, these leftists that are blockading the rails right now. But once again, I'll offer the solution. I'll offer the idea, the potential remedy. But once again, I also realize that Canadians have placed themselves far, far into too much debt, and they just don't have the breathing room to be able to put this kind of action in place. But basically, think about what they're asking. What are they demanding, right? They're demanding that, we all basically stop our carbon footprint. That's what they demand, right? Ooh, the sky is falling. Ooh, we're all going to be dead in 12 years if we don't. Well, to me, it's like, listen, you're going about it the wrong way, folks. You're fighting against them. You're creating a lot of friction, but once again, nothing's happening out there. No, I think actually the best way to deal with these people, because they got to live in the real world like the rest of us, is do exactly and precisely what they demand of you. See how long that lasts, right? Stop delivering all the goods, just like you're seeing in places. Well, of course, that's more oriented towards the coronavirus, right? But, when they show up to the local grocery store and there's no groceries on the shelf, or they show up to get, I don't know, some markers so they can paint their banners or their protest signs, and there's nothing on the shelves, right? Or they go to get the gas to go protest against carbon footprint while they're driving in their car or truck, right? That's how you send these people a message. And once again, you don't have to rely on government. You don't have to beg and plead with Kenny or Trudeau or anyone in any of your provinces, any of your premiers or your political masters or your thought leaders in how you deal with the situation. And because we understand the Pareto distribution principle, or at least those of us who think critically about these issues, it wouldn't even require everybody, just the most productive. But apparently the most productive. And here's the problem. Here's why it's really that kind of idea, which would work seamlessly. Like I say, stop delivering the goods that they all rely on. Stop all transportation, truck drivers, hey, fuel tankers in particular, right? Take a couple weeks off, take a month where you can't. But I'm getting to the problem here, but just a couple weeks, not even a month, actually. But you know why they can't do it? Because everyone's so heavily in debt that there's barely a person alive. And we see the numbers and the facts out there, so everyone can pretend all they want. But the pretend days and moments, yeah, they're coming to a close, folks. But yeah, if you want to end this stuff, you'd have to make sure, and we're on social media, so you can all communicate with each other. So communicate with each other, coordinate. Hey, the environmentalists, the leftists, look at that. One thing I'll say about these environmentalists and leftists, they know how to coordinate, they know how to get together, and they know how to get shit done, right? Do they or do they not? Matter of fact, when it comes to that, they're kicking the right-wingers' proverbial ass as of late. So what I would suggest, what I would recommend, is maybe you try playing from their playbook, seeing as how they're the ones that wrote it, and you folks don't seem to be able to do nothing other than, I don't know, blame entire groups of people. Well, like I say, do what needs to be done. Do the actual thing that needs to be done. Is put your fruits and efforts, sidetrack them for a while so that these people realize, because none of them have actually lived in a world where there's genuine scarcity, right? Where they actually have to worry or fear from not having all those amenities, all those luxuries, all those entitlements that they're so accustomed or used to. If you did that, like it's just like a child, right? Some of these people, they act like full-grown adults, or they look like full-grown adults, but they act like children. Well, you might have to send them a clear message, and sometimes you have to treat them in a manner that shows them the error in their ways, right? Not through force, not through violence or anything like that. Just by showing them, oh, so this is what you want, just like socialism. Oh, you want socialism? Okay, yeah. Just try it, right? Try letting these folks try to live off of actual socialism where they all have to use each other, right? Steal from each other. But if you stop being productive, they can't steal from you. You can't steal from people that stop playing the game. But everyone still wants to play the game. All the central planners, all the banksters, all the corporate class, the central bank, big government, they're all, no matter what they do, because you're all so busy and hell-bent that you just got to go to work because, I don't know, like I say, you got too many toys there, too many debts, you got to pay them all off, whatever the reason or excuse is. But you're the one that's feeding the beast on a continuing, ongoing basis. And the beast loves you and thank you for it. But if you want to send a clear message to them, like I say, shrug, Atlas shrug, right? That's what you got to do. Just like some of these the CEOs of these big corporations that are now pulling out and withdrawing their resource projects, right? Such as TechMine. These CEOs, these investors, yeah, they're wiser than the average bear. They're wiser than the average Canadian. That's what they're doing. They're shrugging. They're saying, okay, well, if this environment doesn't want what we provide, well, okay, we'll just go elsewhere where there is a place or somewhere that does. And I would send the message, like I say, think about all these government hacks, these bureaucrats, these environmentalists, these leftists, these teacher union strikers. Send them all a message. Let them all experience. Like, they don't have to go through war, right? No one's asking for that, but let them experience a little bit of discomfort or what it's actually like to be in need, right? To actually experience genuine scarcity. That's how you fix the problem. And you'd find out real quick. All of a sudden, all these environmentalists, all these leftists, they'd be begging, please go back to work. Please, I need all these things. Who's going to provide me with my solar cells or my Tesla batteries, right? Well, right? That's what has to happen. All the blue collar folks, all the workers, and of course, those who are actually the white collar workers as well. If everyone that was against this leftism or this corporatism or this socialism, this quasi-fascist system that we now function on, if all the people that actually wanted to function in a free market actually did shrug, and send that message to the environmentalists, the collectivists, the socialist types, well, they'd back down pretty damn quick. But I'm not seeing that happen. I haven't seen actually anyone offer that as an idea because, like I say, most people are too busy today just getting their constant, never-ending fill of dopamine. So it's like shock and awe. Oh, who's going to outrage me today? Which is why I don't use those stupid. What do you think? I don't know how to put a fucking stupid, outrageous, sensationalized headline on my streams or my videos. I don't play that stupid game. If you don't want to watch my videos, if you don't want to pay attention to my content because I don't give you a shock and awe fucking title, then go where they get that. Go where you can get that stuff. But once again, you're going to surround yourself with a bunch of inept morons that aren't going to lead you anywhere, right? You'll be just whistling Dixie past the grave for the most part. Anyways, that's an idea. Anyway, let me get to the message here. See if a couple other people have joined as of yet. Because this stuff, I mean, come on, it's just infuriating to know that these problems are not that difficult to solve. It's just that nobody's in a position to do anything. But everyone wants to still pump their chest and act like they're, doing something, right? Yeah, you're doing something, all right. Political puppet theater, going to listen, but also hello. Motorcycles were out and about in Moncton today. Nice. Yeah, it's been pretty mild days for the last few days for sure on the Maritimes. In the Maritimes. Hello from Thunder Bay. Maybe not so warm up there in Thunder Bay. Not sure though. What's going on? Howdy, folks. Howard G. What's going on? Rift Bear just left Thunder Bay a few months ago after several years. Gary's from north of Toronto. Randy Doan. I have ice motorcycle. Canadian Caveman BC in the house. BC in the hizzle. Nice. Hello, Gary Shield. Slowly getting economically like the rest of Canada. Me too. Quad with stud and tires. Nice. Yeah, not so much anymore, but yeah, I was pretty big into the race quads. As I think Gary knows, I've mentioned this in the past. Pretty big into that stuff for a while. Keep up the good work, eh? Hey, what's going on, Rika? I haven't seen Rika in a long time. Very nice to see you, Rika. A CR 500. Nice. 2-stroke. Sweet. The big bad boy. The badass. CR 500. Actually, what was it down in Southern California? These guys, Racer's Edge, they put together mostly the 450cc sport ATVs and stuff like I like to ride, but they're into all kinds of different machines. And I remember there was another group when they were there filming their hill shots. I think which hill was it again? But somewhere down there in Glamis where they shoot, I think it's a 600-foot run up the sand hill with their dune tires on. And I remember a guy mentioning that this other group they were with, and I don't know how many they had put together, but they basically Siamesed 2 CR500. So you basically ended up with a CR1000, like a twin cylinder, basically like a Banshee engine. So you got the parallel twin, but 2 CR500s basically welded together. What a sick machine that was. Wow. Crazy machine for sure. Climate hypocrisy. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions, go ahead, post it up. Oh, and I was going to mention too about the Thinkspot actually before I get too far into this. So I've joined onto that Thinkspot. I put my name in a while back to get on the waiting list, and fortunately, I was in there. What was there like 20? I believe there was only 20 other people when I first get accepted on to Thinkspot. And I got to tell you, now there's some bugs that's got to be worked out on the site. and they're doing so, and you can put into the forum section where you can put in requests and what you want to see done. Me in particular, I'd like to see the thumbnail thing fixed so that you can put your thumbnail when you upload videos to that actual platform. But the beautiful thing about the platform is everything is embedded. Now, I still will link some YouTube videos to the Thinkspot, but I can directly upload my videos rather than have to go through YouTube, then share them to Thinkspot. I can directly upload my videos to Thinkspot. And the beautiful thing, too, is they do podcasts. And the interview that I did with the gentleman just the other day, I uploaded it as my first podcast. And yeah, it worked out great. And when you go on to it, if you ever get a chance to get on a Thinkspot, well, you will, I'm sure, at some point in time, is all you have to do is go to the person's page and you can see where the podcast is, and you just click on the play button and you just listen to the audio portion of it. But like I say, everything's on there. You upload your documents, your videos, your podcast, everything is embedded right on into the platform. And it is a great platform, and there's some pretty good some great minds on the platform. I'll add as well. Today's ideas can be dangerous for those who speak them. Well, of course, ideas are always, but yeah, you have to be courageous enough to speak them regardless. I took for answers to problems. Tired of fear porn. Yeah, fear porn, shock and awe, outrage culture. Oh my God, it's getting so boring. I'm like, well, first of all, I've been doing this stuff. Unlike most, like that's the thing, a lot of these people now are just they're all just noobs. I've been doing this stuff for like 10 years, talking about this kind of stuff and railing against the state. But yeah, everyone's just, I don't know, it's just mind-boggling. Like it's got to end. You got to stop playing these games. You got to actually put ideas into fruition. You can't just constantly spend, I mean, you're wasting year after year. Even myself, I'm thinking, geez, every year that goes by and we're not fixing any situation, none of us are getting any older. There's no do-over button. Can we try to do something? Right? I don't know. And I mean, obviously, I said long before, and of course, the history's out there. So anyone that caught me, later in the years when I was, or last year when I was supporting the PBC, he's like supporting a political party. Well, if you knew me beforehand, I said that politics was never going to be the answer, but I was willing to give it a shot, right? It seemed like there were a lot of Canadians that were interested in trying to go the political route. How did that work out, right? See? Politics is not what's going to fix things. And expecting that politics is going to fix things, like that's just wild. I mean, come on. You need more than politics. You need a culture. Even like, think about it, politics. Trump, you could say down in the States, well, he's a politician and he's the president. But the only reason why he even got elected and is the president is because at least still half of the country down there still believe in their freedoms and their liberties, right? So that at least the U.S. has a culture, at least a substantial portion of that culture, with that rebellious spirit against, the political elites. They still had that populist mentality, that mindset enough where they were like, no, they're gonna send a message to the political ideologues or authoritarians that have been running that country and destroying the lives of so many, I mean, millions and millions of them, as far as economic and social progress and all that. So the Americans did it. Well, even the British people, I got to say, damn, even the UK, I would have figured when it came to people that were more prevalent or prone to be rebellious against the authority or the state, I would have figured US, then at least Canada number 2 and UK maybe number 3 because it's still over in Europe. No, US definitely number 1 still is. Like, it's that psychology, it's that mentality, it's that the goddamn the nation was founded rebelling against the tyrants in England, right? So that the very nation of US, the very country was built on the rebellious mindset, right? And the UK, I mean, I guess at least in terms of wanting to be sovereign as a nation and not become part of this overarching collective called the European Union. So they were at least rebellious in terms of their statehood, the sovereignty of their state. Whereas Canada, nothing. Like, Not that I'm a big fan of statism, but there's not even there's no national pride. And how can you? I mean, think about how Canada was even founded. Come on. Basically, like the redheaded stepchild. It was never founded to be truly free. I mean, the national anthem sounds great, like True North, Strong and Free. I love the sound of it. Sounds awesome, but it's not really what I've truly experienced culturally. Most of the culture that I was born and raised to understand what freedom and liberty is all about came from American television, American movies, American music, American. There was nothing that I learned in Canadian culture that, we just got to stand in defense of our liberties. And as an adult, what I realize now, it took me a while to come to realize this, but damn, Canada is very much like, you might as well just say we're as close to, well, not full socialist. Socialists realize you got to leave some capitalism. If you got no capitalism, you got nothing to steal. So socialists are at least wise enough in Canada not to go full retard, take us that full direction. Although it's looking like these days they are trying to head in that direction now. But Canada is not conducive. And I mean, the political process, the political parties, I mean, look at the Conservatives. And even a guy, who was it? A guy I actually respect, the Purdy guy. And he wrote an article in the National Post where now the Conservatives got to move even further left and feel that the Liberals used to be, I don't know, like he was saying, the center left or the center of the, well, now they've moved so far left and the NDP is so far left and the Greens are so far left. Well, basically what he wrote was, well, now the Conservatives have to move over to that left part to fill the void where the Liberals were. So no, you're still vacating the space on the right, or sorry, on the right. So as you keep telling each party, like, what are we all? Green, NDP, Liberals, Conservatives, everyone's just marching to the left. And it's like, well, don't you think you're leaving a big old void over here on the right if you just keep telling everyone to try to fill that void? It's so insane. It's just so crazy. It's so crazy. But what it is everyone's desperate. But everyone's also way too late to the game to start thinking about these things. This is why 10 years ago, it would have been really important to start worrying about this stuff 10 years ago. Like when I started talking about this stuff, when I was very early on getting 10, 20 views on my videos or something. Yeah, that would have been a pretty good time for people to start to show a little interest. But like I say, the way it'll work out, most people won't show interest until it affects their own bottom line to a serious detriment. But usually by that time, it's a little late. So I don't hold out a lot of hope, which is why from then until now, I've just made sure that whatever happens, hopefully me and those I care about, hopefully we'll make it all right. Because I don't expect change to come without that as the precipice for it happening. Anyways, let's get back to seeing what everyone's commenting on here. He's allowed to breathe until tried for treason. What's this? Okay, I will ask though, guys, just don't bring stuff in terms of like promoting violence in the stream. I just like, really though, it's just not cool. Okay. Tyranny. It's real. It's coming. What's coming? More weather. I won't be voting ever again. I take my vow. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know. What the hell is voting going to do? Like I say, so much would have to happen for anything political to have even the slightest chance in this country, especially under the first past the post. Holy crap. Man, the Herculean task that would require, I don't know. Good luck with that. Churdy's ideas can be dangerous for those who speak them. Oh, today? Okay. Okay, now we're back here. So I look for answers to problems. Tired of, yeah, okay. Now I'm back. I love my carbon footprint. Yes, truth is the enemy to slave owners. Yes, it is. But the real solution is because it will involve takeover of our government. Government sucks. Yup. Love burning fuel and rubber. I said this the other day, that we should take the same day off in a row and see how fast the fat head goes. Yeah, like I say, that's how you do it. But and it wouldn't a couple weeks, man. But that's the thing. That just goes to show you, most people, they don't even, not even 2 weeks. right? At some point in time, though, in the future, when things get really fucking detrimental, you know how many of you are going to be like, oh man, if we had just took those couple weeks off, think of how easy that would have been compared to this. But wait for the this, I guess, instead. Yeah. That's why, like I say, we're not all equal. We're definitely not all equal. Yep, took all my money out of investment a month ago. Loves that everyone's equal. Want to earn more. Can Canadian oil, not Arab oil? Trying to rid myself of debt. Well, that's a wise thing to do. Definitely get rid of the debt, especially at this point in time. Like, hey, I had myself in debt there for years of my life, and I was enjoying having the fun and playing with the toys and all that stuff, having the car, the truck. But like I say, I also realized, man, you are in, once you've done that yourself and put yourself in a lot of debt, you're stuck in whatever piece of shit job you're in. You're stuck in whatever situation you're in, because if you don't pay the debt, everything starts going, collapsing down all around you. So I did it under really precarious times too, because I was going through my own personal hardship. But I figured, well, if I'm already going to go through this, I'll impose even more hardships on myself economically, but I'm going to make sure that the long-term prospects are much better. And they have paid off. Like I say, I have much, much more freedom now. I don't have much money, but I have much, much more freedom now. Protests fuel the market and post-abort economy. White men should go on strike and watch everything fall apart. White men, just anyone. I don't care what color your skin is, just anyone that is a free market proponent, cares about market economics, cares about prosperity, all that stuff. I don't care about the color of your skin, but yes, should go on. I mean, look, like I say, that's the thing. The teachers and all the ones that work for government, they can do it because they can just take what? Every day we take off. We'll just use up one of our sick days, right? And that's the other thing. That's another thing I pointed out many times before too, is I guarantee almost everyone in this chat, you've all got someone in your family, and you're seeing that glaring divide between the public sector and the private sector. Because that's the thing with the people in the public sector, the government workers, the 4.1 plus million of them in Canada, is their wages are always adjusted for inflation. When you see these teachers out there on strike because they're only going to get a 1% raise instead of a 2%, and because the government tries to keep so-called inflation at 2%, but doesn't include the basket of all the real things that matter, because damn well we're getting a whole lot more than 2% of inflation. But even if you play the stupid government games of 2% inflation, the teachers are bitching and whining because they're only going to get 1%, but they're still getting something. Whereas you and I in the private sector, well, what was that Globe and Mail study that measured, and even Fraser Institute studied as well, for the last 40 years, for 4 decades, Canadians, our wages have basically been stagnant for 40 years. So every time you get a raise, or you get some idiot that says, oh, we got to get a higher, especially for the people on the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum, we got to raise those minimum wages. Well, if you don't fix the fucking money problem, if you don't fix central planning and big government, every time you raise the minimum wage, they just, oh, look, more money for the government to draw back off you, right? That's all they do every time. Like I said, when I was a teenager making $4 an hour, or today, let's say, making $20 an hour, which is 3 times that. Well, I had more purchasing power at $5 an hour in the mid 1980s or so. Yeah, it was about mid 1980s, making $5 an hour, let's say. I had more purchasing power then than I do today if I'm making $20 an hour. Doesn't that show you anything? But that's the problem. Well, most Canadians don't have no firm grasp or understanding in terms of economics or finances. That's the biggest problem that I see. Everyone just looks to use the hammer, right? And which is government. Big use of force. That's what everyone knows. How do you get money? Just ask government. They'll get it for you. Well, where do you think government gets their money? From other people. So you make those other people poor. And when you make those other people poor, now they're saying, oh, you're using government against me. Take my money. Well, I'm going to use government, take your money. So it's that race to the bottom, which, think about how that plays out. We all end up at the bottom. Well, like I say, except for those that work for the government, because those people don't have to function under any kind of market forces. They don't work for a business that can go bankrupt if they're not profitable. They work for government, which uses the mystical gun in the room, that implicit threat of violence or force to take from not just the taxpayers, but the unborn. So all these people that are out there protesting, and how many times you hear anyone in the media or anyone that's supposed they're like in the alternative media, how many people are actually talking about this stuff? This is the shit that you need to talk to, and you need to bring this stuff up to your fucking family members, all those government workers. Why don't you point this? Oh, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't. Well, I've got to go over there for Thanksgiving sometime, and like, oh, well, it's my aunt's birthday next month, so I don't want it. Well, okay, well, just keep ignoring, just keep avoiding, just keep kicking that old can down the road, right? You're never going to get out from under the situation unless you actually take that onus, that responsibility, and start doing and saying the right things. You got to hold people to account because they're laughing at you all the way to the bank. The government workers, all the ones that are getting to retire at age 55, right? At age 55, they're going to retire with a nice gold-plated pension. And while those in the private sector or these young millennials now that are strapped and burdened with massive amounts of student debt can't even have kids because they're so goddamn burdened with so much debt. Now I'll say they shouldn't have taken on these debts, but come on, there were adults that were fucking doing this shit to them, right? Let's own up to some personal responsibility for the parents and grandparents that were stupid enough to allow their kids or not tell them how foolish it was. Or all these teachers that said, oh, yeah, you should go to university, right? For what? A gender studies degree, right? Fuck. What was that one I heard some lady talking on CBC? It was a Steve Bacon thing on The Agenda. Steve Bacon there. I was watching something and they were talking about the environment and all this shit. And this lady was a teacher in one of the universities. What was she? Gender and environment studies. What the fuck is gender and environment studies? Like, I don't know, man. But yeah, if you're a parent and your son or daughter said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to a university. I'm going to pay for, and I'm taking gender studies." Well, really? Well, what was your plan? I don't know, because I guess other than working for government or CBC, to be an expert on the panel. What kind of a fucking job are you going to get with that? Like, come on, you're not going to be productive in any way. So you're not going to, and because you're not going to be productive, you're going to be one of those people that need to grow government because you can't become productive yourself. Like I said, there's a lot of responsibility that's got to go around, but no one wants to look in the mirror. Nobody wants to look in the mirror. Everyone wants to point the finger at everyone else. That was my little mini rant. Sorry, folks. If we got paid millions to protest, had media lying for us and lawyers working for us and government doing anything and all things legal and illegal to help us, we would be doing better. Yeah, but that's the thing. I just told you don't have to do that. You just have to put yourself in a position, well, unless you're not productive. If you're not productive, then there's not a damn thing you can do. But if you're a productive person in society, in Canada, there's a lot you can do. There's a reason why if you look at my resume, I've got more than one job. Why? Because I'm the kind of person that if I get treated like garbage by my employer, I leave. And especially now that I don't have such a ridiculous debt load, I won't put, but most people will just put their nose to the grindstone, just, bitch and whine and, curse under their breath and just go along, keep going along. Well, as long as you keep sending a message to your boss, to your employer, to the government that you'll just keep doing everything, right? Whatever they ask of you, whatever they demand of you, if that's the message that you keep sending them, of course they're going to keep doubling down and asking or requiring more of you because you allow it. Civil war. That would require to have a population of Canadians that are willing to get off their fucking duffs. I don't know. It'd be a pretty small one because there'd be a small percentage of the population that'd be even willing to fucking do anything. So I don't know. I'm not too worried about a civil war, to be honest with you. No, not really. Cuba has full health care and free education. No, there's no such thing as free anything. And when someone says that, that's another thing. Whenever anyone utters the term free, I mean, right there is just, oh, really? I mean, it's so simple. Free healthcare. So nurses, doctors, x-ray technicians, anesthesiologists, You know, the ladies, whether the orderlies that change your bed, I guess they all work for free, do they? Oh, really? I did not know that. Matter of fact, I've got 2 or 3 people that work in the medical field in my own family, and I've never heard one of them say that they go to work for free. Matter of fact, they get paid pretty damn good money. So, as you must recognize, there's no such thing as free. What it is people will steal from other people to pay for that service, to pay for these people. That's what it is. It's forced wealth and income redistribution. So, a little correction there for you. Might want to learn some economics someday. It will come in handy. You won't sound so ignorant. North America might be on the verge. Well, U.S., now that place, yeah. Depending on how the election goes, that is a tinderbox. And the people there's a lot of pent-up anger and unresolved issues that could break out. But like I say, I would expect it to happen there long before it happened in Canada. I've seen this country go through a lot of shit, and people just seem to be willing to. No matter how bad Canadians have it, their go-to methodology is bend over and just say, shove it up a little bit further. And they'll do it with a smile and say, hey, or a. That's the bulk. They want that, but we need lawyers and politicians to change everything back. Yeah, you need politicians. Yeah, that's what you need. Good luck with all that one. Who are you going to shot to change anything? The ones running this mess are higher up. I have no idea what that means. Fruteau has to go. Fruteau is only one part of the problem. I mean, sure, you can get rid of Trudeau, and I agree he's got to go, but it's not going to stop anything. It's not going to stop anything. Slow it down a little bit, maybe, right? Or misdirect you so you don't realize that it's still going to happen, maybe, right? Depending on how good of the politician the Conservatives put in there. I mean, look at the bottom of the barrel they're scraping. I mean, just the fact that the Conservatives can't even find anyone, like, I'll admit, Pierre Poilievre, he's a pretty good dude if you're a conservative. Like, if I was a conservative, like Pierre Poilievre, now he'd be a guy that, if you're a conservative, now this is a guy that at least seems like a genuine conservative. Like, did he? No, thanks. And I forget who the other few were that decided that they were going to do it to enter in. But what was it? Rona Ambrose. But there were some competent people that were going to run the leadership. But it's like, no, I don't want to be a leader of the losing team, right? What the hell? What's the point? There's no emboldened vision. And look at it. Maxime Bernier showed if you do show any emboldened vision, just like this O'Toole guy is trying now, well, you'll be at the bottom of the ballot when they come to pick someone, right? So even Peter MacKay backtracked because he said something in a tweet, which I didn't even find it was that big of a fucking deal, to be honest with you. But see how quickly he stuck his tail between his legs? There's no vision. There's no bold leadership in this country from any of the political parties. Nah, I think, like I say, I think I'm pretty much done with it. Well, thank goodness. Don't have to worry about voting or playing the political bullshit anytime soon, doesn't look like. Tech Mine would have cost us a lot. What do you do with $70, $80 oil in a $30 market? You sell anyway. Anyways, who pays for that? You do. So you're pretending that you can decipher and determine what the market price is. Like, you're talking about spot price for oil. Do you not realize that the price of oil changes and fluxes on a regular and continued basis, and it has throughout history? And there's all kinds of ways to find different methods. I mean, if you had pipelines, right? If you could get your oil to markets, right? In competing markets, listen, there are ways that the market could sort this stuff out. But that's the problem, is no one in Canada, apparently, no one has the vision or acknowledgement of just how powerful markets can be if you allow them to properly function and flourish. But no, you can't say what the price of oil would be. And if you're that intelligent that you can actually predict the price of oil in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you must be one hell of a rich dude. Because there's this thing called the stock market, where you can hedge your bets, where you can short, where you can go long. You can do all kinds of things in the market. If you're really good at predicting the future in terms of market or commodity prices. So go ahead. Matter of fact, If you got that much money, why don't you spread some of that wealth around? Stop giving any money to anyone that pushes this anti-white agenda. Stop giving any money to Petalwood. Yeah. Yeah. Pushes this anti-white agenda. Well, I mean, I don't know anyone that would be giving money. Anyways, whatever. Yeah, fuck. I don't think this will happen. The world needs oil. The globalist overproduction. China. There's a massive reset. Idiot boy will never have a seat in the UN. When is Shrug Day? You guys have to figure stuff out. Like I say, we live in the age of social media. Take advantage of these things, right? Organize. Get yourselves together and do something other than standing with fucking signs. Like the standing with the signs, like I say, I've said this in many past videos. Unless you want to, unless you can get like millions of Canadians together, which, yeah, good luck with that one. The protesting and petitioning is an absolute waste of time. I mean, it's your time, so if you want to waste it, go right ahead. But no, what you need to do is, you have to, send a very clear message. You got to let these people know just how serious you are. But like I said, very few Canadians are in a position to do that. And even restaurants, of course, people are pissed. People are always pissed. But that's all they do. What are they asking? I'm asking you, though, there, sub dog. What are they saying in these restaurants? Oh, that Trudeau, right? Bitching about other people, talking about people, right? That's what they're doing. So whatever. Those people aren't going to figure anything out. Where's the tie? Yeah, no tie. It's just to relax. Well, like I said, I haven't done a stream in quite a while, and I actually did a stream the other day when I was doing my interview, but I didn't reference anything in the chat, so I kind of felt bad. So I figured let's do an AMA, give a little update on the Thinkspot website, and kind of talk about a couple little things here. Because, like I say, one thing I will say is that the people that have been avid followers of my page and that I interact and engage with all the time on a regular basis, like those of you that are out there, and I know you're a small number, but I really appreciate each and every one of you. So I still do everything I do. I still talk about this stuff. I still remain relevant, and talk about these things. And I'll still do streams from time to time. I'm still doing videos, even I think once or twice a week I'm doing videos. So I'm not going anywhere, like I say, but I had to prioritize things. It's, the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting no results. And like I say, my channel there was few people. Like, I know what's happening anyways in terms of view. Everyone would prefer to go and, like I say, get the shock and awe and feel all like kumbaya and that in-group preference, like where they get clicky. And I'm a libertarian, right? I don't get into the clicky stuff. I'm not clicky. I'm not tribalistic. I'm very independent. And I don't just yield to like, I got to conform. Unfortunately for me, I guess, in my personal life, I'm secure and comfortable with it because I have people that genuinely, truly love me. So I don't feel like, I need to seek shelter of the tribe or comfort in the tribe. And plus, I'm pretty resilient, and I have a good strength of character and resolve. So I don't even feel like I need to become part of the group or the gang or collective for protection purposes. So I just do my thing. But I get a lot of people do. They go that collective route, and that's what they're doing now. But I get a laugh actually at some of these other channels that have popped up, and I actually dealt with a few of them there for a while, but woo, I don't have ESP. I'm not a what do you call those people? Anyways, I can't read minds. I can't see the future. Clairvoyant, right? I'm not any of that, but something told me, well, just I'm a pretty good judge of character for the most part if I study someone enough. A lot of times I just superficially go by some of the rhetoric stuff and it sounds good. Well, I'm the kind of person, I give everybody a chance. I'll give anybody a chance until you prove me wrong or otherwise show me that you're not the person that you originally presented yourself as. Then things change. And that is something I noticed not so necessarily early on, but I did notice at some point that some of the other YouTubers here in Canada were not exactly what I had hoped or expected them to be. And I really wanted to exit stage left or right, depending on how you want to look at that, and just not deal with them anymore. And I got to tell you, that was a wise decision on my behalf, because now I can see where they're going with this. Now exactly what I originally thought, but I didn't come out and accuse anyone of anything. But I had this inkling, I had this gut feeling about me, and now I realize, oh yeah, okay, I know what these guys are all about now. All about now. And yeah, if there's one thing I don't want to do is associate, align myself with people that are, whether it's anti-Semitic, whether it's against entire groups of people, or status. I mean, the fact that some of these guys constantly talk about and rail against we got to get rid of Trudeau and this and all the government screwing us, but yet they're the first people that will lick the boots of the state, which the state exists primarily, right? A few hundred politicians are pretty weak individuals. The reason why they have that power to do whatever they want to you as a Canadian is because they got a standing army and military and massive amounts of the police force, right? Those are the people that maintain the so-called legitimacy and authority of the state. Those are the people that keep Trudeau in power, right? That's what, but yet when I hear these people that are so against Trudeau and so supposedly against big government and socialism and all this stuff, but yet they live off of government themselves, right? Oh, I hate socialists. Hey, wait a minute. Where do you get your paycheck? Government? Oh, where'd you get your paycheck for the last 20 years? Government? Who's going to give you a paycheck or retirement pension for the rest of your life? Oh, government? Oh, but you hate socialists. Oh, well, alrighty then. Nothing like a fucking hypocrite. And like I say, constantly talking about, oh yeah, we need the cops out there to go out and shut down these barricades. Now, I'll agree with the barricades. I'm totally against the barricade bullshit, but I have to laugh when I hear these fucking right-wingers. Oh, we need the cops out. We got to defend the cops. We need the cops out there. We need constantly licking the boots as much as they can. And then then you get articles like this, and I love it when this come up. It was hilarious. This was a day 12 of inquiry in Nova Scotia, of all places, too, huh? Wow, quinky dinky or something. I don't know. But anyways, this should have been a message for a certain particular YouTuber in Canada, right? Firearms officer tells inquiry how veteran with PTSD was able to keep a gun license. Lionel Desmond bought a gun on January 3rd, 2017, which he used to kill his family and himself. So, I mean, that's a pretty good reason. If you read this article, yeah, it's pretty chilling if you're a military man these days and you have PTSD. That seems like, looks like the government's looking for reasons or excuses to come after you to take away your firearms. And well, of course, they're looking to take away everyone's firearms as well. But this year, if you have PTSD and you could be potentially deemed as dangerous, well, there you go, right? But yet you love law enforcement. Well, who do you think is going to come and take your guns away, right? Or at least attempt to, or whatever, right? But who do you think is going to be? It's all of them cops, right? Or your military police, that if you're still enlisted or whatever, who do you think is going to come after you, right? It's those people that you lick the boots. That's the most hilarious part. This is why I never get into tribalism or statism or join the military or give a crap about people that are promoters like the right wingers. This is why they hate me so much, because I'm not a big fan of the state or the police or the military. No, like I say, I'm all about defending the country, but we're not talking about defending the country here, are we? No, because no one is attacked. Like, we've got 1,000 miles of ocean on either side, right? There's no foreign threat I see heading to the shores anytime soon. Well, other than the ones that Trudeau is bringing in, right? Or that are coming up across the Roxham Road. There's some possible or potential threats there. But once again, they're not, even all the police and the, well, not necessarily the military, but the border patrol, what are they doing? Playing luggage or baggage handlers, right? For illegal people that are just flowing across the border. It still happened to this day, by the way. It's not like it stopped. Just because the media stopped reporting it, it's not like the actual the practice has stopped. Anyways, yeah, going on a bit of a tangent there, but I just have to laugh. All right, let me scroll back, trying to do myself. Okay, back down we go. Okay, I'm going to try to look for some questions here, see if we got anything. The world needs, okay, let me. When is Shrug Day? 2 years of shit at least. How can resistance groups form? Well, you start local. You start local. That's the first thing I'll tell you. Start local. Start local. And because there are Canadians all across this country, and you can set up private groups, private chats, there's encrypted emails, there's all kinds of ways. You just, like I say, and don't expect someone to telecast that to you, right? Oh, jeez. Paul Bissonnette. You know what? Trudeau did pay a company. I don't recall. What? I don't know what that means. Head lichen, a hole. Head lichen. Whew. Flex us a maritime muscle and show us the tattoos. Turtle Island turtle. I have a GSXR 1000 motor in my quad. Oh, nice. Yeah, there's been some pretty good builds of the geez, I must be way back here then. Yeah, I gotta move along. Move along, Bennett. Move along. What's left cannot be. Oh, what if the left cannot be reasoned with? Well, the people that you can't be reasoned with, like I say, you don't have to reason with these people. You just have to show, like when you say the left, you're talking about obviously these people that are, the environmentalists. You got to get people's attention. And I don't recommend doing that by any acts or means of violence. That's the last thing you want to do, because that's the wrong kind of attention. But like I say, if you're a productive person in society, you have a lot of power. If you have members in your family, you should be talking. I'm sure there's got to be people in your family that you can talk to, right? Or in your community. If these people, they're among you, talk to them. If they don't want to be reasoned with, then you just mention them that, well, then I don't want nothing to do with you. You do your thing, but don't ever ask me, like, oh, by the way, I'm an environmentally leftist. Oh, by the way, I need a new deck built on my new home that I just bought. Would you do it? No. I ain't building you a deck. I'm not doing anything for you. I would not do anything for people that seem hell-bent on destroying my livelihood or my career. That's the thing. You gotta stop providing for these people. And once they get this, like, even the slightest hint, the slightest sniff of, like I say, any kind of scarcity, well, you won't have to do anything. They will correct their habits and behavior because they will be incentivized to do so. You have to incentivize them to think differently than what they do. When they can sit upon their entitled perch or in their mommy's basement or whatever they're doing and get away with it, and still have all of the things provided them in life or in society. Taxes, that's another thing. If you own a business, find some way. If you're someone that actually has some means at your disposal, find a way to not have to be forced to contribute into this system. Now, I recognize that alone is not going to end it, because, well, that's the problem with, this is something that should have happened 100 years ago, right? That's the problem with having a central bank. Now, even if you withdraw your economic support, well, they'll just recreate that by falsely stimulating it with Keynesian style printing of money. So I'll admit that the economics of it is getting profoundly difficult, but math is still math. Eventually, as you see the debts and deficits as they keep increasing, it's going to put a lot of pressure. Rating agencies are going to start to have to downgrade. Like I say, but it requires a concerted effort on every one of us, on behalf of every one of us, to do the right thing, to shrug in some way, at least, to send a message. And it has to be those who are actually productive, right? If you don't do shit, if you sit in your mother's basement every day and you've never gone to work or been productive, well, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot. Other than, if you're good with the language, maybe try to talk some reason or common sense in them. But most people won't listen to common sense or reason. What people understand is incentive and their own sustainability. If you threaten that in any way, that's when they'll perk up and pay attention. That's how it has to take place. Other than that, like I say, no point in even going down the road of the violent revolution. That's just a bad idea all around, because good and bad people of all sorts get harmed in those ventures. But the Atlas Shrugged, to stop being the providers for those who are inept or parasites, that does have a profound effect. And like I say, the transportation industry is one that can have the most dramatic effect. I mean, just think. I mean, you see these protesters. I mean, what more proof do you need other than the fact that these few protesters at each of these blockade sites, it's not like there's tens of thousands of them out there. Some of it's just a dozen, half a dozen, right? Out there, and they're causing what? Economic harm to the tune of billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? In Canada over this time, like I forget how many tens of millions or 100 millions a day, but they're causing a lot of economic harm just by doing their little protests. So to me, it's like, oh, you're going to try to counter that? Well, no, they're the same. They still got to go to the grocery store just like everyone else. Make sure that, are you prepared? Are you prepared in any ultimate situation that you could go, you know, if the grocery stores were empty or bare, could you go a couple weeks? Have you made yourself in a position, put yourself in a position where you could go a couple weeks without food being on the grocery shelves? If not, well, you're in a pretty vulnerable situation. Do you have tons and tons and tons of debt hanging over your head? Well, you're in a vulnerable situation as well. Like I said, you got to put yourself in a situation where it's not as detrimental if there is genuine economic harm, because there is going to be economic harm, whether it comes from the left or it's self-imposed as a message to send a message back to the left. There's going to be economic pain. The thing is we can transit. I mean, if you're resilient and more self-reliant or not so heavily indebted, you'll weather the storm much, much better than the inept, right? Those who don't have lots of backup. Or that's the thing, even rural areas. If you live in a rural area, you're in a perfect position, especially if you're a farmer. If you're a farmer, you're laughing big time because you have self-sustainability built in. All the banks talk about digital. Well, because digital currencies are going to come to fruition anyways. So these central bankers want to get out in front and create their own. Zuckerberg has his own form coming out. Well, I'm not sure when exactly they're going to have it entirely, but the Libra, is it called? Yeah, the Libra, I believe. Libra. No, Libra, I believe it's called. Facebook's going to create their own digital currency. There's already Ethereum and Bitcoin. What is central bankers realize that the disruption is going to happen, and they want to get it in front and create their own. Now, I would say don't ever. That's the thing. Don't use it. Right? If the government comes up with its own digital currency, don't use it. Because if you do, well, once again, you're back to feeding the beast. You're literally giving the people that enslave you the means to do so. Why do Indians go after railroads like in the Old West? A lot of these protesters aren't necessarily even Indians, as you say, Aboriginals or First Nation people. I seen Rebel and David Menzoid interviewing a bunch of them, and it didn't seem like they were First Nations people at all. And from what we're hearing from other reports is a lot of them are just a bunch of white lefties, right? Or people coming up from the States. What do you think about the moves for constitutional conventions, and what are your thoughts about the Canadian People's Union, if you heard about them? Canadian People's Union? Oh, that sounds like a communist endeavor. No thanks. But in terms of constitutional conventions, like I say, all of these things to take place require that you have enough people. Like think about it. So for a constitutional convention to take place, that means you have to have politicians in place in enough seats to form a majority. And then, because it's a constitutional convention, not just on the federal and provincial level, but it require at least 2/3, I believe, to do any shifting of the Constitution or anything. Like I say, it has to start from the culture. These things can happen, but only if there's a foundation or a culture that will make that a priority. Look at the election, the way it played out. There's too many people in Canada. This is the problem with socialism. There are too many people, 4.1 million, that work for government directly out of 37 million, and think about how many people indirectly benefit or are subsidized by government. So if 4 million are getting direct payment or compensation from government, there's at least what, 2 or 3 more? I'm just guessing. It's just numbers off the top of my head. But there's a few more that indirectly are subsidized in some way by government. Corporations, right? Banksters, the bailiffs. So think about how many people. Why would they want a constitutional convention? They're making out like bandits. That's what the problem with. We've reached this tipping point in Canada where there are so many socialists, so many collectivists, so many proponents of big government that I don't believe a constitutional convention can happen because you don't have the foundation for it. You need the foundation. You need people who are willing to send people to Ottawa or as the premier in the province or the MPs in their jurisdictions. You have to have the population, the citizenry of all those jurisdictions willing to send people to Ottawa or to this convention, wherever it would be held or take place, for that to happen. Does it look like Canada's in any place or position to get to that point? Not even close. Not even close. The election result showed clearly Maxime didn't even keep his own seat, right? So there is no, I don't see a political methodology. I don't see where you can put this together. Like, I would love to be able to say, well, if you do this, do this, you might have to do this, but if you do that, it'll do. Like, if I could conjure up my mind where there's some way that could happen. That's why I get a laugh. I get a kick out of all the people that are talking about these political initiatives. It's like, you don't realize that politics is all about, we live in a democracy. It's majority rule, right? And actually, in reality, it's kind of a misnomer to say the majority, because in reality, it's minority majority rule, right? So it's because we're in a first past the post system, it's whoever gets the plurality or the majority of that minority of votes. Because Trudeau got elected once again, was it 39-40%? Harper before him was what, 39-40%? And that's just of those who show up to vote. And I've gone through all this in my past videos. So I believe it was Harper, and then there was the Trudeau one, but I'm trying to remember exactly, but I could be mistaken which one in particular it was, whether it was when Harper last election, I think, or when it was Trudeau was elected in 2015. But basically at that time, it was 24 point whatever million people that showed up to vote for all the parties. And there were 14 million people that actually showed up to vote. Oh, no, sorry, that's what it was. So there were 24 million at that time. That's right. Okay, let me get back to, okay. So at that time, there were 24 million eligible voters. 14 million of those eligible voters in Canada showed up to vote. The 10 million that were eligible to vote sat on the sidelines, sat home and didn't vote. So that 10 million, think about it, 10 million apathetic, sat home, didn't vote. So the ones that did vote, the 14 million, it was like 6 million, let's say, for the Liberals and 5 point something for the Conservatives or whatever, if it was when Justin Trudeau or if it was the Conservatives who won, like under Harper prior to that, it would have been the opposite, 6 million for the Conservatives and 5 million. But it's still, we're working out to 6 million, roughly 6 million. Even this last election, I'd have to go and find the chart, but I believe even this election, what was it? 6 million or so. Roughly, they gave the Liberals the majority again. So in a population of 37 million, 6 million is all it took, right? So that's not even a majority. It's actually a minority. But it's enough. It's a plurality. It's enough where you get 100% of the power because it gets you into that majority status in terms of the government. So I don't know how you get that. When, like I say, when you have that many Canadians who are hell-bent on maintaining the status quo or the establishment because they benefit from it, where do you get it? Like, I thought, I was kind of hoping because Canadians were given an actual viable choice, and because Maxime and PPC was at least covered in the news, mostly negatively, mostly trying to stereotype or paint everyone that's a PPC supporter or Maxime himself as racist or Islamophobe and all that. But I thought, at least because of the media attention, I thought, well, that 10 million Canadians that don't even bother voting because they recognize there's nothing on offer for me there. I thought, well, at least with PPC there, and the fact that the media was covering them, and the fact I'm pretty sure there are a lot of Canadians, especially those 10 million, that are disenfranchised with how this whole system operates and which direction this country's headed. I thought, well, if that 10 million, if they get off the sidelines, right? 10 million is a higher number than the 6 million or the 5 million. So actually, if the 10 million get off the sidelines, they could form a super majority, basically, right? If all 10 million Canadians that didn't vote voted for Maxime Bernier, the PPC, that is way more than the 6 million the Liberals got or the 5 million the Conservatives got, right? Matter of fact, it'd be almost as much as both of them combined got. But they didn't. They didn't. So, like I say, does it look like there's a political option? Is it viable? Not yet. Canadians have not suffered yet. Some are. Some of us are suffering tremendously. But a lot of people have given up even trying to fight the system and have either joined it or are benefit in some way and keeping kind of meek because they are. They don't want to say they're the reason why they're silent is because yeah, I hate the system, but right now it's taking care of me. So hope that answered your question about the and I don't know about the Canadian People Union, but just the name alone sounds. I'm not a big fan of unions. Just another layer of government, as far as I'm concerned. For the ice, have sled stud tires, 120 mile an hour, 450 pounds. Sweet. Is Prime Minister bummers for Canada further? Oh, there's a lot of stuff that happens that we probably are not privy to, but that doesn't mean nothing. Like I say, I don't care about what's happening. I don't care if there's George Soros paying people. Like I say, everyone knows that government is the problem. That's where the issue lies. How it's being funded, who's lobbying it, right? Your problem is government, right? Spreading your resources around to look for the boogeyman in other places when they all gravitate to the one entity that has all the controlling power, the monopoly of force and violence in our country is government. So stop looking for all these boogeymen because they can't do nothing to you. George Soros can't do nothing to you without government doing it for him or playing ball, right? That's the importance. That's why libertarians understand. Listen, whether you're a left winger or a right winger or somewhere in between, how you eliminate the potential of your opponent or your neighbor or someone that's on the other side of the political law, how you eliminate the potential of them using government as a means to their end at your expense is keeping government shrunk to the point where it can't. That's the beauty of very small, tiny, limited government is if it's not powerful enough to cause harm, then whether you're a right winger or a left winger, you have nothing to fear. The reason why left wingers and right wingers are so fearful today is because they know how much power they have given to government. And they're scared to death of their opponents gaining a grip on that power. To me, it's like, well, you should have never given it that much power to begin with. And now your only possible remedy is to remove that power. And how you remove that power, like I say, is stop feeding the beast. Find ways to work, function without it. Lead by example, right? That's how you do it. You act as if government doesn't exist. I mean, within reason now, within reason. But there are a lot of ways. There are a lot of ways to disrupt or to function outside the system. You just have to find your own methodology and, like I say, get together with other people, talk to them about these things, and see what you can do. It's not up to someone like myself to tell millions of people how you're going to figure this stuff out. All I'm trying to do is give you the formulation of what needs to happen. Atlas needs to shrug. You need to send a message to these people. They need to experience hardships of their own. You're not going to correct their habits or their behaviors by talking to them. Not even if you're a really well-articulate speaker, you're still not going to, for every one person you'll convince, 999 of them will just keep going along doing the same shit until they're properly incentivized to change their habits and behavior. That's it. I want an XR. Oh, the XR 650. Them things are beasts. Big torque monsters. Heavy as hell, though. Pretty cool. How much does it weigh? Oh, I see these guys are talking back and sup, Sky. Sup. Street only. Right, I'm trying to scroll down here a little quicker now, folks. What do you think about okay, I gotta scroll down. Is Prime okay? Do you think we use the bush trails? Oh, these guys are still talking back. Back on topic. The Virginia rally was a show of force. How do Canadians make a stand? I agree, but I applauded your support of participation in politics. Well, I didn't really do much. Help try to promote them, stuff like that. And check the box. Ooh, I went. Ooh, I checked the box. Woo, that was productive. Probably the least productive thing I've done in a long time. Going checking the box off. And where did it get me? Nowhere. Canada was born into a war. Stand there. Canadian sport. I like the crazy people. Want more to be crazy like them. I disagree. We need a real. Where did that go? Where did that go? Where in the hell did that go now? No, do not merge with USA. Canada got enough of its own. Oh, I'd fucking love to be part of the USA. Please take us over someday. Not that I'm a fan of the state, but if I gotta live in a state, in a tax farm, on a plantation, I'll take the states any day. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Tommy Gunn. I agree with that right there. Yep, that is true. That is very true. Take it easy, official blasphemy. Okay, I guess I better go back down here. I've almost convinced some woke of their nonsense, but as soon as they retreat to their echo chamber, they come back with the same. Yeah. What's going on, Zach? Thanks. Someone just set a car on fire. Let's just all merge with you. Yeah, I agree with Hubble Gardner there. I'm with you. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not a statist. So to me, it's like at least the States has a genuine First Amendment, like real freedom of speech. None of this thing where there's such thing as hate speech. It actually has real freedom of speech. That's beautiful, right? And it's not just that it's written on parchment or paper, or was solidified or reinforced by the Supreme Court decision multiple times. No, it's the culture of the U.S. They recognize the inherent importance of genuine freedom of speech. And the next best part is that Second Amendment. That alone is why the First Amendment still exists, right? And why the government still feels that they have to abide or at least somewhat align with the will of the people, right? And the Constitution is because, the Second Amendment. Those two things alone have such a profound effect and are so important to the human psychology or the human mind in terms of how they perceive government. I mean, could you imagine in Canada, we're never taught, could you imagine being taught, we have this thing called the Second Amendment. Oh, why is that? Oh, because, our country left Europe, a couple hundred years ago, and the tyrants of the King of England decided they wanted to tax us on tea and all this, and we rebelled. I mean, that wasn't the only reason, obviously, but think about it. It's built right into this. It's the story. It's the history. It's the culture of the Americans to defend themselves against tyranny, whether it's foreign or domestic. That is, it's bred into their psyche, and it's still through not just their education system, but basically everything that they're inundated with. I mean, well, not so much now as we're seeing, even the media. That's the thing. The cultural drivers of the U.S. are falling by the wayside, but there's still a lot of residual effect. Because that's one thing I will say: Hollywood has turned away from the movies that promote that rebellious spirit. It was American culture that created the movie and Hollywood that created the movie, Braveheart, right? And the Patriot, right? Stuff like that. Rebelling against government and all these things. But as you see, that is going by the wayside these days, even in the US. But like I say, there's still enough residual effect that they still have a firm grasp, or at least enough of them still have a firm grasp of the importance of those two amendments in their Constitution. Canada, we got the so-called Charter Bill of Rights, but meanwhile, it's right at the top of the Bill of Rights is the notwithstanding clause. Basically, You have all these rights, except we got this, but what if? Or, but we can change anytime we want because we got this clause written into it. So if you have a clause written into your Bill of Rights, or your Charter Bill of Rights, if you got a Bill of Rights and there's a section in there, there's a clause that says you have all these rights unless we decide you don't, well, you don't, right? Because you don't. Who would write a contract is, oh, I'm buying this car from you and I'm giving you 10,000. You give me the car and I'm going to pay you over this such amount, like however many years. Here's the payment. Except there's something written in the clause of the contract that says, except the other guy can come back and take your car and keep your money. It's written in the clause of, would you sign that contract? Right? Oh, wait a minute. I thought we originally agreed that I was going to give you money and you were going to give me a car, or vice versa, whichever way. Well, if you write in there that you get the car and the money, well, no thanks. Or that you can change that at any time, depending on your whims. Like, no, I don't want to sign that contract. No thanks. I don't know what you're going to think about it. You might not like the car in a month or so, right? It's like, come on. No, it's just, listen. And Canada, the Constitution that we have in Canada, what you mean? Just basically, we took the British Constitution and photocopied it. You mean that thing? No, like I say, Canada doesn't have that culture. We don't have that culture. So constitutional conventions are a pipe dream as far as I'm concerned. Separation, sovereignty, that is potential if you can get enough of the people that are sick and tired of the rest. Now, like I say, Alberta and Quebec, they might have the potential because they're all sick and tired of each other, right? That'd be about the only potential. I could see Wexit, but even then, there's so many special interests that I don't even know if that could possibly happen, to be honest with you. But it would definitely have more of a chance than a constitutional convention. YT said Alberta can separate because of Quebec, but I think they just want the shale oil. If they do separate, they should join Alaska, Yukon, go around. Yeah, they should join the U.S. for sure if they do. Let me know because I'll be out there. ASAP. North BC, Atlantic Canada would want to join also. Atlantic Canada, yeah, tell me about it. Damn. We start wanting monetary compensation for loss. Can you provide evidence to support the claim of jurisdiction? Ooh, is that for me, Rika? What do you mean? I'm not sure what. I'm so far down from, I don't even know where the hell I would have been talking about that now. Federal government has too much power. Difficult to say how that can be fixed without hitting the hard reset button. Can Maxime Bernier use postal office to deliver his message directly to people? What? Evolution will never happen in Canada. Revolution and the product of it, only option in Canada. Well, revolution, right? If you know what that means, you'll end up back. At least you'll get a little reprieve, right? I mean, you can do the revolution thing, like I say. It's just going to assure that if you just do the revolution, like I suppose at least you get some momentary reprieve or reset, which is, I guess, better than nothing. But you got to remember how things unfold during revolutions. A lot of harm takes place. So be careful what you ask for. So that's a problem with most people alive today. They don't genuinely grasp what these things even represent. It's not just a matter of what you watch on TV, folks. Once it's real life, it gets real personal real quick. Hey, what's up, BJ? Too many people don't want to get rid of entitlements. Yep. That's the biggest issue. Most people like I say, 4.1 million Canadians. They are never going to vote against their best interests. Even when they retire from government, even when all the boomers have finally retired from government, they're not going to want those gold-plated pensions going away anywhere anytime soon. So they're going to vote, whether they got to wheel themselves, push their walker, whatever they got to do. They're going to make sure that they're going to want to vote to maintain those entitlements. Nice hat. Oh, hey, Biz Arts. Nice, happy to catch your live stream. Oh, here, let me take this. Put the banner back on here. One sec. Oh, yeah, I already told the idea about the leftish, about the shrugging. So let's do this. Yeah, just go back to that. All right. if we were liberals, we could stand in front of railways and the police won't do a thing. It's wild, huh? It's wild. I watched that. It's like, this is why. And when you watch the cops, right, with Manzoid, and I mean, think about it. You can see Manzoid's like, but wait a minute, you're threatening to arrest me for being here, but yet look at all those people. They're not just here reporting on something. They're the ones actually blockading, but mindless order followers. The guy was told to say something, to do something, and he's just going to say and do it, right? Which is why I don't know how anyone, especially the right wing, why the fuck are you so hell-bent and loving on the fucking enforcers of the state? Like, that's what I mean. Right wingers are either mentally insane and just are wholly contradictory, or their love for authority blinds them to the reality of what it means. Like, I just one thing I'll give the left, and which is why I have actually more respect for the left these days than I do for the right, because they're showing their resolve. They're showing their willingness to join together. They're showing their will that they're against the state, and they're actually like not big fans of the cops, right? The cops are against them, but that's what it is the cops are taught you're a right winger, so you're supposed to hate anyone that's a left winger, right? But meanwhile, these cops, just I suppose like in Nazi Germany, right? Oh, you're a right winger, are you? Right. Meanwhile, your big supreme leader there, Mr. Hitler, yeah, he's a huge national socialist. He's a socialist, born, bred, and raised as a socialist, more or less. Hitler was. I mean, look at the guy, little wimpy, scrawny little dude. Like, that's a strong man. Okay, if you say so. Like I say, to me, as far as I'm concerned, in Canada, what the hell is the right? I don't even know what the hell the right is in Canada. To me, there's just different gangs or groups of collectivists, authoritarian collectivists, right or left. I don't know, whichever way you want to paint them, but they're all authoritarian collectivists. They pretty much all look for government to answer their problems, or to be their savior, or to be their moral guidance, right? Or how the economy should function. It's just they have different preferences and way how they do it. But they're all statists. They're all authoritarian collectivists. At least the left are willing to admit as much. They're more honest. They're more forthright. They're bolder. Obviously, they're way more bolder. Look at them out there, right? They're brave in the cold to do all these ridiculous, stupid things. Like I say, the left is kicking the right wingers for proverbial ass. So I don't know, like, there's no one inspiring in this country to ever put, anyone on the map in terms of showing a solidarity of force against authoritarian collectivism. There is none. There's none in Canada. Or those of us who are, I mean, I'm one of those. Wait a minute. I'm one of them people that don't play the game, but that's the thing. I have to be rejected. I have to be canceled, right? This cancel culture, and the right wingers do it just as much as the left wingers, as I've seen, right? I'm the outcast. I got to be canceled because I won't align with people that want to talk about anti-Semitism or the brown people or the conspiracy. Like, oh, I forgot my tinfoil fucking hat. Or that I won't be cliquish. Like, I hold people to account. Doesn't matter if you're right or left. That's the thing. And no one likes that guy. No one likes the guy that's going to hold them to account. They would rather you just shut up. And I've recognized that even in my personal social life. You get along with everyone when you sell yourself completely up the river. When you have no actual unique, identifiable characteristics or traits about who you are. If you're just willing to conform to whatever clique or whatever gang or whatever group you're associating with, then you can be, they're like, oh, I love this guy. Oh, fuck yeah. But that's the only way. That's the only way, is if you're willing to conform. The minute you step outside the bounds of conformity, well, you're now an outcast. And to me, it's like, whatever, do your thing. We all live in the same country, though. So you're going to suffer just as much as I am. But hey, whatever. At least you'll be able to do it with your little clique, right? Status. Bunch of status, man. Meh. It's a problem with status. How long you been a libertarian? Well, probably my whole life. I just didn't know what the hell the thing was. Never been a fan of authority. I was a guy, whether it was going to church, I would act up, and when things were being taught to me or told me that was ridiculous. Same within school. I would get in trouble for challenging the teachers on things. So I guess I've always and I would attribute that a lot to my dad. My dad was kind of like that as well. So I had a good role model in terms that in that aspect. So it was, and I realized, but my dad, my mom and dad divorced when I was real young, but just having them even in my life for that time, it helped me so much. It helped me so much. But I guess I would have always, and because I had religious upbringing in terms of Christianity, and not like having to go to church. My grandma was my biggest influence in terms of my religious upbringing, and she went to different churches. She wasn't like dogmatic to go to just the Presbyterian or the Protestant or the Wesleyan or the Baptist, or she would kind of go around like in the community where she's from and just get to know people in different ones. And but what it is and we talked about this, she would hear like everyone interprets the Bible in different ways. So she didn't get dogmatic into joining the clique herself, right? So it's just she would just talk about the Bible, read from the Bible herself, the verses, and taught me these things when I would stay with her, which I did a lot when I was a young man, especially when my mom and dad get divorced and stuff. But I got this concept of like, well, the 10 Commandments. So I learned morality and proper ethics quite early on, which I think most of us do. And when I learned about libertarianism, I was like, well, Jesus, that's right in line. Self-ownership, non-aggression principle, property rights, all those things completely align with my inherent Christian values that I was taught. So to me, it's like, this is perfect. And the capitalism in terms of like the economic side thing, because that's the thing. Capitalism deals with the economics, money, like a measure of value, a medium of exchange of that value, and a means to retain that value for future use. That's money, right? That's what real money is, not this fucking bullshit money, central bank printed, devalued, debased, where inflation just is sky high, or at least to the point when you actually look at all of the things that are affected, like housing costs and stuff, right, through the central planning and the manipulation of the interest rate. But all those things, like, and capitalism and understanding Adam Smith, right, and hearing about how it's not the benevolence of the butcher, the baker. Like I say, how could I not be a libertarian? It all fits into, it's like a perfect, not perfect, but it's a really well put together jigsaw puzzle. If you take like capitalism, free market capitalism, where you're not using force, violence, but it's what you can provide for others, and it's also because it's what you can provide for yourself. That's the thing. I know he's getting to not the benevolence of the butcher, the baker. If I bake bread and want to sell it, well, I'm benefiting myself first and foremost because I've already baked the bread for myself. So if I can bake excess bread, like another dozen loaves, well, I can sell that bread to other people, which helps them out, but it also helps me out. That's that win-win scenario where I'm benefiting because I'm getting the economic compensation for that bread that I baked, and then I can use that money to go buy something else, right? But that other person on the other side of that exchange is benefit too. So that voluntary exchange and interaction is beautiful because it's a win-win situation. That's what capitalism is. Free market capitalism, laissez-faire capitalism, without government intervention. And like I say, the morality of Christianity properly, not dogmatic, not getting into this, like I say, not taking things too serious, like the earth is 6,000 years. Like I'm not talking about the dogma stuff. I'm just talking about the grand narratives, the meta narratives of the stories about morality and ethics and stuff, right? So all those things, like to me, it's just, how could I not be a libertarian? It just seems like the most natural thing. Unless to me is like, if you're not, I mean, let me correct this. When I say libertarian, though, I'm talking about philosophical libertarian, not political libertarian, because once you break it down in the political realm, then you're making this room for mysticism and allowing it. But I guess at least with political libertarians, what I have come to realize is at least you're preaching from the same book, right, of self-ownership. It's just that you're still leaving some exceptions there, and to me, it's that exception is how government grows. The minute you leave the exception where people are allowed to use force or violence as a means to an end, well, that's where the bad people are going to gravitate to you, which is why you have to eliminate the pretense of the state entirely, so that the bad people, the evil people, don't have that exception to the rule to gravitate to use force or violence or theft against other people. But until we have mature enough humans in the West in particular, has been short of that point, I'm more than happy to be a fellow traveler with political libertarians so that we do at least start shrinking the size and scope of government. So nothing against political libertarians, but I think of things from the philosophical aspect, right? I mean, To me, it's about ideas. It's about knowledge. It's about epistemology. It's about understanding these things. And once again, there's no utopia. That's the beautiful thing about libertarians too. People try to say, "Oh, because you're," someone's trying to say, because I was talking about libertarian and being the non-aggression principle. Also, you're a pacifist. No, libertarian is non-aggression. I'm not going to use preemptive force or violence against you. Doesn't mean I won't use it. You fuck with me, you're going to get it back, motherfucker. That's the thing about libertarians. It's not pacifism. It's not, here, let me just turn the other cheek here, right? No. I'm just not going to preemptively. I'm not going to initiate it. That's the beauty of it, right? That's one thing I do believe is defending yourself or those you love against harm. And that's why don't need the state. I'll do that shit myself. And people say, well, you need the cops. Who's going to protect you from bad people? Name one fucking time in your life where the cop was standing there in your fucking, your backyard or your front door when something was happening. No, you call them after the fact, right? Unless you got one, sitting on your shoulder everywhere you go. Right? So, no, that's the onus. It's personal responsibility. The onus is on each and every one of us to learn to be competent in some way. Doesn't mean you're always going to be, but that's a beautiful thing today, too. Man or woman, with having the Second Amendment, is the Second Amendment. I've said this before too. If you're a lady that's helpless, maybe walking in a precarious spot some night and you just had to do that, first of all, I would say that's probably not a good idea. But if you have to do it, hey, if you got that snub nose 38 stuck down in the bottom of your purse, that's quite the equalizer. Now you aren't just this poor, helpless victim that has to rely on the state. Right? Now you have the means, and I would always suggest and recommend that you learn how to use it too. So once again, personal responsibility, folks. That's how you keep government at bay, is a society or a culture of people who are more self-sufficient, self-reliant, not just solely. I'm talking with others, but where everything's done voluntarily and you don't need to use force. That's capitalism helps us tremendously. Disruptions under the capitalist model today could eliminate 95% of the government if only we could do it. Want roads? Yeah, we got all kinds of machinery to build roads. You don't need no government for it. Right? All these things that people think you need government for. Healthcare, you need government for healthcare. No, you need doctors, nurses, and orderlies, right? That's what you need. Right? All these things that people need government for. No, you don't. No, you don't. You need a market. You need value. That's what the market's for. So you can value people's intellect and their labor, right? That's what you need. Matter of fact, is in terms of government or any government mandated compensation or policies, it's all a one size fits all. Here, we'll just call it minimum wage and everyone at the bottom of the social economic gets paid the same. Meanwhile, does everyone work the same, right? Is everyone as competent as each other? No. Like I say, market economics, that'll fix most of the stuff. Freedom, folks, freedom, liberty. Individual liberty. That's the answer to your problems. That's the answer to most problems. Not all problems, but it's the answer to most problems. How do rational people hold the government accountable? Good one. Well, first of all, when you say the government, there is no the government. There's politicians. So if you're a rational person and there's a politician in your particular jurisdiction or riding that's doing something, that I would say, get on social media. Make sure that all the people in your community know about this person. That's the beauty of having politics as local as humanly possible, right? Hold these people, or even people in Ottawa, talk about the individuals. Don't just use these terms. Like now, if you want to just use it as a loose describer, it's government, but government is made up of people. It comprises of individuals, of people. Who are these people? And if these people are doing things that you would say are unjust, immoral, or illegitimate, then you need to talk to people in your community and say, listen, this is what's happening. Is this the kind of world you want? You need to get together. You need to organize with people and say, listen, we have to try to figure out a way to better our situations where we're not constantly using force or violence against each other. It's a long endeavor. It's actually, like I say, at this junction, and I know it's disappointing when I say this because people are always looking for the quick fix or that one size fits all answer that's going to fix it. There is no answer I can give you in terms of how do we get out from it. It's a long-term project, but it does at least require everyone to put some effort in. If everyone relies on just a few people like myself to do all the heavy work or heavy lifting and try to talk about it, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. And like I say, everyone's got to start holding, like I say, The 4.1 million people that work for government, pretty sure most of the people in here have some of them working for government in their family. You might want to talk to them. You might want to ask them, why do they think it's fair that you, as a private sector that is forced to pay and subsidize their retirement, their gold-plated pension, while you basically are starving on the streets almost because you have no retirement or pension funds, whatever, for whatever reason, but because the government's been robbing you to the tune of half your income. Say, listen, why do you believe it's fair? Make them feel uncomfortable. Interacts with each other. The government workers do go off into their own little suburban communities. The blue collar folks, they go, nobody interacts with each other. Nobody holds each other to account for anything. And yet it constantly, the blue collars, the working class keeps providing everything that these government workers need or require. So as long as they're getting everything and they don't have to deal with you, they never have to listen to you, they never have to look at you, they're never going to correct their habits or behaviors. That's just reality. It requires a concerted effort of millions of Canadians finally stand up and do the right thing. Do I believe that's going to happen anytime soon? No, which is why the best thing you can do, like I say, if you want to send a big message, is what I was saying earlier. You got to be like Atlas. You got to shrug. And in the meantime, like I say, before you get to that point where you're shrugging, make sure you're in a position where you're not so vulnerable. Because when Atlas shrugs, the whole world's going to shake. So you better make sure you're holding on yourself, right? That's all. Hey, Gato, what's up, buddy? Okay, where was I at here? We need government for a few things, but they keep getting more involved in our lives. No, I actually don't need government for anything, but I know people have been taught that. That's what you've been taught your whole life, so you're going to believe that. No one has ever told you otherwise. But if I had the time to explain it all to you, I'd go line by line. Everything that you think that you need government for, I could prove no, you don't. You absolutely don't. But like I say, that's a philosophical argument based on objective realities and logical and consistent thinking, but not everyone thinks logically or consistent. So I'm under no illusion that by me telling you that you don't need government, that you're going to believe me. You've got many, many years, as with most people, you've had many, many years of your life inundated and indoctrinated to believe that you do require and need government. It's a sad reality. It's an unfortunate thing that a lot of human beings reach full maturity and adulthood without ever learn. A lot of them go their entire lives and are put 6 feet in the ground without have ever learned that the belief in government, it's a fictional construct. The belief that you need rulers is like, it's like, wow. But like I say, when they start you off early, when you're just a little kid, and they start hammering that stuff in your mind, and then your parents that were taught the same bullshit are reinforcing that kind of mentality. Well, that's what you're stuck with, folks. Which is why it's so important to listen to people like, not just myself, but on the internet, there's tons of people out there, lots of people out there that can give you this information, and even better than I can. Take advantage of it. Because like I say, in the age of information, ignorance truly is a choice. If all money created is debt, not all money created is debt. It's not. A lot of the money today that's created is debt, but it's not. If you went out right now and dug, I'm just going to use gold for a perfect example because gold is real money. You found yourself, you found somewhere a little gold mine. I mean, actually, I watched this thing, was it down in Australia? Me and the wife were watching they were gold prospectors down in Australia. It's funny because gold is at such a rate now. It's like, what was it, $1,600 an ounce? No, I think $1,400 an ounce or so. But basically, you found yourself a little nugget of gold, right? An ounce worth, right? Well, there's what's the going price? $1,400. That's that you would have right there. And that was created not from debt, right? It was created from your work, from your labor. So money is not fiat currency. A lot of the currency that's in existence today, central bank money, yes. Yeah, a substantial portion of that is all created as a consequence of debt. But not all money is debt. That's the problem I hear with economics is people have been taught either by socialists or fascists or fucking Keynesian economists, right? They keep talking about things. It's like you have to learn Austrian economics or classical economics. You have to learn or even understand what money is. There's lots of documentaries, there's lots of literature, there's lots of novels, there's all kinds of material out there so you can learn what genuine money is. And like I say, what real money represents, no matter what you use as a form of that money, it's a measure of value, it's a medium to exchange that value, and it's also a medium used to retain that value for future use. So money is not fake. It's whatever. Now, like I say, real money is something that can actually have value. Actually, you can exchange the value, and it will retain its value. So, like I say, there are certain things or parameters that would define money, but it's not fake by any stretch of the imagination. Money is actually like without money, we go back into agorism or the fully barter system. And like I say, I got a chicken, you got I don't know, like what a pig. What if I'm not a fan of pork, right? Maybe I want to get something else. Well, what we're going to go to another neighbor that's got cucumbers, and you exchange the chicken for the cucumbers, and then you get the cucumbers to exchange the money. Proper money is just a way to make that transaction happen more seamlessly. That's all. Welcome to the scam. Welcome to the scam. Let me see what time it is. I don't want to go too late there tonight, folks. Holy crap. How long have I been on here anyways? Just going to see what's going on here. Search for a great essay on libertarianism and anarchism by James Redford called Jesus is an Anarchist. Cool. Fascinating, and I'm not even religious. Jesus is an anarchist. I might have to check that out myself there, Steve. James Redford. Actually, I don't know. Oh, I can put it in my notepad. I'll check that out just for the hell of it. One sec here. James Redford. James Redford. And it's called Jesus is an Anarchist. Is an anarchist. I will check that out. And it's an essay. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for the recommendation there, Steve. I will check that out, buddy. Inflation or contract? What? Trust no one says inflation or contract. Must be inflation. The more you speak, evolution is not in the menu. Evolution is not in the menu. Mm-hmm. Not anytime soon, but it will happen. That's the point of evolution. We have been evolving all along. I don't see how we would stop. But Steve, you could even make the case that Jesus is an SJW term. What? Is an SJW? Oh my goodness, whatever. That's why I like to talk about ideas. God, though, SJW, social justice warrior. Well, I guess it's the negative connotation of SJW. Because you picture that fucking screaming left. Yeah. Yeah. I sure as hope Jesus wasn't like that. Jesus was indeed very libertarian. I've learned a lot about libertarianism from Jesus. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. No doubt. We need government for a few things, but they keep okay. Seeing that. Read this and see. I feel the same. I love listening to you talk about libertarianism, but how do we make it happen? There is no making it happen. Education is key in the culture. Like I say, well, how it all should properly take place, and because it would be that if it's dominant in the cultures, it obviously has to start in how we raise kids, right? Because that's our minds, the concepts are all formed predominantly when we are young, right? So if you start early on, this is the problem, like I say, why it's so difficult to have a society created on libertarianism. And Stephen Molyneux has talked about this many times before. And when he talks about this stuff, man, it really rings true, because I use the example many times in my life, whether it's the teachers, preachers in church, right? Principals, your parents, aunts, uncles. Think about it. I just use a classic example when I was a kid, right? Well, two examples. So one time in school, I was only in grade 2 or 3, so I wasn't that old. How old are you in grade 2 or 3? Not very old. Anyways, we were out there. A bunch of us kids were throwing snowballs up in the air. See who could throw the snowball up the highest. Cool little thing. I was actually pretty good at it, so I really enjoyed playing that little game because I could throw pretty high. Anyway, I threw a snowball up in the air and came down and landed on some girl's head. I didn't do it. I didn't throw it at her. There was no ill intention. I didn't mean anything by it. But whatever, one of the teachers that were out there during recess, and someone must have said something. Or anyways, teacher comes over and grabs me by the arm and, what are you doing throwing snow? I said, I did throw it. I said, anyways, didn't want to hear any of that. So what happened? Well, you should never throw snowballs at anyone because you could hurt them, right? That was what I was taught as a kid. So what was the consequence of me? I didn't throw the snowball at her, but it did hit her. So I did admit that, but what was the consequence of something that I supposedly did? Like, I supposedly caused harm to her, although it didn't hurt her. But let's just say, because the snowball hit her in the head. But the consequence of that was to take me into the office and strap my hand, smack my hand with a rubber strap a whole bunch of times, cause me pain. And same with parents. You get the kid in, you watch your parents fighting all the time and using violence and all this stuff or something. And then maybe as a kid, you use violence towards, like, me and my brother. Let's say we're fighting or whatever, and we get into a fight. Or if you get in a fight with a friend because you've observed these behaviors. Not like a kid learns these things on their own. Like, these are observable behaviors. So if a child that's still learning and development does do something, well, they've learned that behavior somewhere, right? First and foremost. But second of all, the consequence always was to use violence. So the parent that's, scolding the child for getting into a fight with another kid or hitting another kid. So how did the parent handle that situation? Smack! You're never to hit anyone, right? Don't you ever hit anyone again. God damn it. Well, if you use violence, right, and try to suggest that violence is not the answer to your question or not how you deal with people, but you use violence yourself, just like the state. The state is a monopoly on force of violence. So everything that's done in society, everyone that votes for something is voting for initiation of violence, or at least the threat of it, right? So violence is the ultimate means to the end, whether it's usually coming from your parents or all those so-called leaders in your community or in your country. Until you get away from teaching people from very early ages to use preemptive violence as a means to an end. Now, once again, it's nothing against self-defense. You should always teach people, because not everyone is going to stick to, right, the moral concept of don't hit, right? So always teach them to be good, but also teach them not to be suckers or to be subjects for someone else to use violence or force against them. But until we get to the place where you have a dominant culture of at least having rebellion, if it's not a dominant culture of rebellion against authority, it should at the very least, and I think this is the way humanity or the West gets away from this stuff, is to teach them the important values of what libertarianism is, right? Self-ownership. I own me. Teach them from a very early age. Property rights, don't take, we understood this as kid. Don't take Timmy's toy, right? You play with your own toy. If you want to use Timmy's toy, you ask Timmy for his toy. If Timmy doesn't want to give you a toy, okay, you can throw a little temper tantrum, but you can't go hitting Timmy and you can't take Timmy's toy, right? Really fucking simple concept. And even kids as young as 4, 5, 6 kind of grasp that concept. Adults don't anymore. Most adults, that's the thing. Most adults are absolute hypocrites, which is why you have a constant and continuing culture or society of people that believe in using preemptive force or violence as a means to an end. They don't admit it as such. When they become adults, they just use political language or manipulation. That's what they do. But ultimately, at the end of the day, all those people that want to vote for this or that, or for free this or to do, because they don't like this person that does this, that should be illegal. It's people saying, I like the use of force. I want to use threats of force against that person to correct their habits and behavior. Well, what do you think you're teaching that person? If you're using threats of force or violence against someone, then all you're teaching them is might makes right. And that's what politics is at the end of the day, is the biggest, it's the biggest gun, right? It's the guy with the biggest muscles. That's what government is. So everyone's like, well, that's where all the power's at, right? Until you get away from that kind of cultural mindset, yeah, good luck on getting a whole lot to change, folks. Unfortunately, I know it's not a nice clear cut cookie cutter answer, but it is what it is. The world is ruled by Satan. Gender identity, yeah. Any kind of identity politics makes me sick. What's going on, Terry M? Question: when was the last time you purchased anything made in Canada? Holy shit. Well, I suppose maybe groceries wise and stuff. I'd have to think about that though, wouldn't I? Of course, I don't do a whole lot of purchasing and consuming anymore. I'm kind of broke. Oh, because I haven't been doing anything like much videos on my YouTube channel, and my payout is never coming, I guess. My revenue for the last 28 days on YouTube, because of the small amount of views and not doing as many videos anymore, is down to, I think, what was it, $11. And YouTube won't even pay you out till you reach 100. So, oh, maybe in 10 months I might get $100. Yeah, like I say, I'm not relying on it. I'd rather starve on the streets than give up trying to fight for what I believe in. That's the truth. And I'm pretty sure there's lots of people who are hell bent and hoping to see me starving in the streets. I don't know. They might get their way eventually. I have yet to find a church that believes 100% in the Bible. Yeah, they all fucking, it's all interpretation. We're all humans. We're all fallible, which is the point of why you don't want government. Everyone likes to say, well, you need government. I don't trust people in society. So we need government to protect us from the bad people. But don't you think the bad people will just end up going to government because that's where all the power's at? It's like, do you not see that kind of insane circular logic? Like, but yeah, it's all interpretation, just like judges. Oh, well, we'll take it to the Supreme Court. Well, you better hope that the judge has at least a political leaning more aligned with you, because if not, you'll get the opposite decision because they get to interpret. That's the thing with laws and the way they're so loosely written. I mean, think about it. They can be interpreted so many ways. And that's what legalese is all about. It allows lawyers, judges, and the political class to legislate and then be the final arbiters and determiners in what that legislation even means. It might sound clear and concise to you, like freedom of speech sounds clear, but no, like I say, they can manipulate that to the point where they can deny freedom of speech with all these disclaimers, with all these exceptions and exemptions, right? So I don't know. That's why you don't want a donation. Hey, very cool. Thank you very much. Let me check that out. Yeah, that's why you don't want government, because if you believe there are bad people in the world, well, don't give them that place, right? Let me go see who donate the money, because I haven't had a donation in forever. Of course, I don't do streams either much anymore, so kind of hard to get a donation, right? But let me see who this was that donated. Hey, how come I'm not seeing who that was? How come I can't see the name? Oh, there we go. John Doe. Oh, John Doe. Getting you closer to that payout. You deserve it. Thanks, John Doe. Yeah, I know it's a shame, actually. I don't even mind, like, if people don't like to donate in the chat thing, because I even get, like, friggin' YouTube takes a portion of that, which kind of sucks. Oh, shoot. Looks like my stream is it just me, folks, or is my stream going really crappy here? It looks good on this end, but it looks terrible on the YouTube end of things. Is anyone else? Let me scroll down to the bottom here. Is anyone else seeing really poor quality? Can you just let me know? Government in general tracks a certain stream looks. Oh, okay, so it is. Yeah. Shoot. Okay, wait. I'm gonna try closing the YouTube one and just stay on. Let me try this. See if this will help. Because what it is I usually have stream opened on the Stream Yards thing, and then I open the YouTube one for the chat because it usually streams quicker. But anyways, I close that off. I probably should. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so this seems like a good time. Sorry if I missed everyone here, but be sure to claim that to the guy. $11. What? Hey, thanks. What's $11, Terry? I'm not sure what Terry M. Did you donate to, Terry? $11. Be sure to claim that to the government. Anyways, if you did, I just don't see the donation. I only see the one $10 one. But if you did, I appreciate it. And like I say, thanks again, John Doe. If anyone does feel like they could have any extra money to help me out in any way, though, I do have on my YouTube. If you go in the description of whether it's my streams or my videos, I do have a link to PayPal. I think PayPal is probably the best way to do that. PayPal is actually pretty cool because like the minimal cost, like in fees and all that stuff, and it's really easy to do. I do it all the time and stuff with PayPal, and yeah, it's a really cool service to be honest with you. But anyways, I'm just going to check and see what everyone's. Like I say, I got a little slow like usual. CBC rocks. Anyways, yeah, I'm probably going. Liberty, stability. Anyways, yeah, because the exit movement going, I want to prove a libertarian government will work. A libertarian government will work, but like I say, it's a matter of making sure that you have a healthy culture. So one thing to add to this, Zach, and is you would have to make sure, like I say, the citizens are getting their cultural values, right? So from parents, so you want to have some good community groups. Church used to be really good for that, right? Church used to be really, really well at keeping people at least under the pretense of observable morality and ethics, right? But yeah, music, movies, television, art, sports, right? Learning all these morals and ethics, like that's the thing. Even if you watch a movie or listen to music, you're getting a lot of moral values. Even sitcoms. Think about a sitcom from the 80s and 90s. Think of all those family values and how like theft is wrong, and how you should never cheat on each other if you're a spouse or dating. I mean, like I say, you need a healthy culture that encompass all that morality and all those ethics. Which, once again, if you incorporate the self-ownership and property rights, and those things don't have to be boring if you incorporate them. That's the thing. Not everyone wants to listen to anyone talk about philosophy. Some people just like to get their cultural drivers through entertainment, right? Or other forms of media, which once again, but you need a healthy dose of people who are willing. So you need to make that economically viable as well. Right. That's the problem with the internet and everything supposedly free, although it's not free. You're exchanging all of your wealth, of your ideas, of your data, of all that you provide to the advertisers. But the internet has created this culture of free because it's so easy to duplicate and replicate at such a minimal cost. That has actually played a key role in affecting, especially the younger people that don't seem to understand, the ethics or morality of proper economics as well. But if you get, like I say, if you get that healthy culture enshrined in enough of your population, and like I say, start with the parents and the community leaders, the people. If these people are teaching the young people, then it doesn't take long. A generation or two of people raised with these kind of morals, with these kind of principles, with these kind of values, right? And make it a dominant aspect of the culture, right? If you make that a dominant aspect of the culture, by sheer fact that that's what you promote and that's what people mostly adhere to, because they recognize that it's in their own self-interest, it's in the interest of their community members, and it's in the interest of their family members. If you get, especially like I say, the parents, back to the parents not teaching violence or force or using the state as the ultimate means to an end, then you will get that healthy culture that would be accepting of having a libertarian type of government. Like I say, because I don't expect government that's going away anytime soon. Just because I say that government is completely and wholly illegitimate, which it is, because most people believe in it, well, it's going to, like, if everyone believes in Santa Claus, right, and even if I don't, well, to them, Santa Claus exists. I could try to tell them it doesn't, but if they still believe it, well, when they wake up Christmas morning, they're still going to think that he's the one that left the presents under the tree, right? So, like, but that's the thing. You need to try to break people free from this paradigm. But like I say, it's a long-term prospect. But for now, one of the biggest ideas, like I say, is to start affecting your culture. So if you're an artist, or if you're a musician, or if you're, like to put on plays, or you write poems, do whatever you can to affect the culture or your community in your immediate area, because you're not going to be able to help everybody, but you can start in your own community. Or if you have kids, make sure you raise your kids in a manner that is conducive with self-ownership, property rights, and the non-aggression principle. If you do those things, you will raise healthy kids that will not seek to use violence or force or theft as an ultimate means to an end. And then that, like I say, that permeates, because once people see a winning formula and see that it does work, well, then it destroys that mystical concept that the state is constantly inundate people with, which is what Zach is referring to. Oh, you need government. Once people realize that, no, actually you don't. Think about it. The king. People historically would thought, oh, you can't get rid of the king. We need the king. Until they didn't. Or, oh, you can't get rid of slaves. We need the slaves. Until you don't, right? Once you destroy these concepts in people's mind, most of the time, they're never going to go back to that kind of mystical thinking. So that's what we have to do, break people free from the paradigm. But yeah, you have to enshrine that by leading by example, which is by being good parents, good citizens. And I know it's hard to do because there are a lot of imposed threats by government, and the state is among you, but leading by example and showing that there is a better way without, like I say, without teaching them to be pacifists or compliant or conformists. That's another thing. Don't ever teach your kids to be pacifists or just blindly conformists or compliant just for the sake of going along to get along, because that apathy can be a detriment as well, right? It's not just an example of, the bad people under the Nazi regime or the communist regime throwing people in the gulags or Auschwitz or something. It's also the apathetic people that weren't willing to stand in defense of those who were being harmed, right? That all comes to play a part. Anyways, folks, I know I've been going on an awful lot, and I do appreciate those of you who have showed up into this stream. It really, like I say, it's people like you that I enjoy talking to and getting these questions from. And I'm not going to worry about just how popular the channel is. Like I say, I've gotten over that. It is what it is. It's not growing. I'm not getting a ton of views, but as long as I get substantive views and get to actively engage with people that are more in line with how I think about things in terms of liberty and not treating people just based on their skin color or their background or their race or their sex. If we can just get to talking about things more individual and talking and discussing ideas rather than gossiping, then I'm happy if it's only 10 people. I don't care. It'd be nice to have 1,000, but hey, even if it's only 10 or 20, I'm happy, because that means at least I'm surrounding myself with people that have at least the same principles and understand what it is to be a free human being. We don't have to agree with each other on everything, but we should at least have that same kind of common goal and focus. And I believe most of those of you who are in the chat do. And I appreciate each and every one of you for being like that. It's you folks that are going to make the difference. It really is. Anyways, have a good one. I'm going to close down this stream, and I'll probably try to do another one at some point in time. But like I say, don't want to get too heavily into things just yet. I've still spread myself around to that Thinkspot website. And like I say, if you haven't already, folks, even if you don't end up using it much, just check it out. Go to, it's ts.today. So thinkspot.today. You'll see where you can just put your email link in that. Just send your email, and then because right now it's still in beta testing, but they'll send you a message to your email telling you when you're invited, and then you can go and you set up your own page, your own profile. Hey, you can even get the blue check mark and everything on it. Like I say, it's a great site, folks. It's a great site, and it's pay to play, by the way. I had to pay to join the site. You'll have to pay, but it's very, very minor. You can go all the way down to, what was it, like 78 cents per month. So it was like not even $10. I think it actually worked out after everything was like $10 a year. I mean, $10 a year. I mean, even me, I'm poor. Even I can afford the to pay. I got the next level up. Actually, no, it was I paid $30 for the year, but I got a whole year on the platform. And that's the thing, because it's a pay to play. And if other people want to subscribe to your particular channel in there, they can do so by once. We do got to get to the pay to play model where people are properly being valued these days. And I think Thinkspot's going to really help a lot of us out tremendously. And because you do have to put a little skin in the game, it actually raises the bar on the kind of people that you're going to find on the platform. Everything that's free, where everybody's welcome, you get a lot of riffraff, right? But on the sites where you got to pay to play, a little higher standards, a little higher quality, right? Anyways, everyone have a good evening, and we'll talk to you in the next stream. Stay libertarian, and I love liberty.